draft per team. We're just been going over all the players, full draft breakdown for each team, all 7 rounds, and there will be some undrafted free agents. In some of these videos, I had to go over like guys like Kobe Bryant, Mario Anderson Jr., Rock Taylor, Seth Hennigan, 3 of those guys being Memphis players, but guys I feel like deserve to be drafted and also just will probably make their team. Starting off with to go over the Seahawks draft, their biggest star, or not star, but guy who's has the most popularity, Jalen Milroe, headlined in this article by ESPN, as you can see right there, 3rd-round pick. But we're just gonna start from the top. Grey Zabel, 1st-round pick, guard out of North Dakota State. Played tackle at North Dakota State. Really good player, in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of players getting drafted and like this high from FCS schools because FCS competition is just not it. It's not historically been good over the past 10, 15 years, really, for the most part, and making it far in the NFL. But the two unicorns, or like the two schools that kind of poke out of that, is North Dakota State and South Dakota State. Both of them do produce players who can compete at the NFL level. And Grey Zabel is probably the one of the only ones you'll see in the future who really has a shot at that. And this guy had a lot of offers from Power 5 schools. He could have transferred, but he chose to stay at North Dakota State because I'll tell you what, man, that North Dakota State, those North Dakotans and stuff like that around there, like it's either go to North Dakota State or go to Nebraska. That's where they want to be at. And if they go to North Dakota State, they start dominating in an awful Missouri Valley Conference that has schools like Missouri State. And they also have Illinois State, both 2 trash teams. I mean, they're just going to dominate. Grey Zabel did that at North Dakota State at tackle. He's going to move into guard, and he's gonna have all the measurables you want for that. And also, he's performed really well at the Senior Bowl and did test to get at the combine. So performing really well at the Senior Bowl says a lot about him and how he can handle competition. So I like that addition a lot overall. The next pick was Nick Emmanwori, safety out of South Carolina, the most athletic player probably in the draft, and one of the most athletic players to ever test at the combine. So this is a super good get for the Seahawks, in my opinion, especially when you talk about Mike Macdonald, the defensive play caller / head coach. He's so good at scheming these guys. Scheme Kyle Hamilton, Geno Stone, Marcus Williams um, at the Ravens super well. So getting a guy who can kind of play that Kyle Hamilton role, I like this a lot. I think he'll develop really nice. They have Kobe Bryant, Julian Love at safety, but this is a team that can put 3-ish safeties on the field or have him playing box linebacker. He's big enough, strong enough for that. As you can see, down here in a 4.38, 6'3", 220. Super good. And I mean, yeah, like they say right here, Macdonald helped turn Kyle Hamilton into an all-pro safety. So I think the ceiling is really high for Nick Emmanwori in the Seahawks defense. The next pick in the 2nd round was Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami. Super good pass catcher. Him, Austin Barner are going to be on this team. They're going to be the 2 main tight ends, along with Noah Fant, who's still getting paid more than both of them, but that's because he's free agent this past year. He'll probably be gone after this year. I'm sure they'll either let him go, or I think he's on a 1-year deal. But if he's on a 2-year deal, they can just cut him. And I think that will yeah. I think, yeah, like Down Sears says, no offense, bloated contract has led to speculation that he could be a cap casualty at some point this offseason. So, yeah, they could definitely just get rid of him at any point they want. But Arroyo, I like him a lot. I think he automatically becomes the best pass catcher on the Seahawks, at least for the vertical game. And I think that's where he's going to be used the most is, between the hashes and running up the seam. I think that's what he's best at if you watched him at Miami. And getting him at pick 50 in a loaded tight end draft seems like really good value because in other drafts he probably would have went top 40 easily. Next pick was Jalen Milroe, number 92, 3rd round pick for the Seahawks, quarterback out of Alabama. If you watched any Alabama games this year, they were super underwhelming, and they got destroyed by Oklahoma and a few other teams he just played really bad against, even USF, University of Southern Florida. the Group of Five school. Yes, that's a pretty good Group of Five school, but you're Bama. You're supposed to be a top 10 team in the nation, and you struggled against not even a top 50 team. Like he played really bad until the fourth quarter, and he can throw a great deep ball. Don't get me wrong, he can run better than almost any quarterback in the NFL, but I just don't think he's good. I don't think he's good, and they're saying they want to play him in a Taysom Hill type of role. He's nowhere near as big as Taysom Hill, first off. And second off, the only time you're going to be able to use him is QB runs and Wildcat potentially. But even then, you have Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. They just added Damian Martinez, which we'll talk about later in this video. George Hilani. I don't see like how this is a great fit, and he's going to be your third string quarterback because he had Drew Lock there, who's a much better passer, and when he does get shots at passing the ball, he seems to do very well, especially in a backup role. I cannot see him being QB2. Round 5, number 142, we take Riley Mills, defensive end out of Notre Dame, 6'5", has all the attributes you want, 296. So he did get hurt. Ended this past season in the college football playoff. He's gonna have that sort of Leonard Williams type role whenever he does get on the field, and it won't probably be until much later in the year if he even gets on the field at all this year. Towards ACL, as you can see right there in the college football playoff. He'll probably just be on IR for like all year. He would have been a higher pick in the draft if it wasn't for that injury, obviously. So getting him in round 5 when you probably had like a third or fourth round grade on him is pretty good value. And yeah, I mean, they tried this out with Taylor, Darius Taylor, whatever his name is, the defensive end out of Tennessee when Pete Carroll was running the show. He had so many injuries, fell to them in the second round. Or I don't even think he was injured really for the most part heading into the draft. They had minor injuries, had to get surgery, missed his whole rookie season, came back, took a while to add weight back and get back in the NFL shape. But when he did, he was really good edge rusher. Obviously, this is a completely different type of player. He has that more of a Leonard Williams type build and would fit into that scheme more. And but the Seahawks do a decent job at picking some of these guys in the later rounds who have upside, and obviously you may just be waiting a year to see what you get out of him. Round 5, pick 166, Torrey Horton, wide receiver out of Colorado State. Super high on Torrey Horton. I think he was one of the better receivers in the draft. Obviously, going round 5, you're wondering, hey, why didn't he go earlier? The main reason is the guy didn't play like the entire season because he was hurt the whole time. He had a knee/hamstring injury, as you can see, that sidelined him most of the last season. In the combine, he ran a 4.41, and he ran a 4.3 during I believe his pro day. So he's coming back off that injury. I think he could be even faster than a 4.41 if you ever watch him. And his game speed is insanely fast. 6'3", 196. I think he's going to play more outside. I don't think he's going to play slot as much because of just JSN and Cooper Kupp being on the team. And obviously, you have 3 tight ends who are mostly pass catchers. That's just what they are. So I think he can make the team because the only guy on the outside he's really competing with is obviously JSN because he's going to move out there. But then MVS and another guy, Ricky White, on this team, and then Jake Bobo, who's slow as hell. So I love this pick for the team. And as you can see here, as for Horton's injury, the Seahawks were able to check his recovery when they brought him in for a visit. So they see it as a good fit. And they were talking about him, returning punts, but I think he could turn into a really good receiver for this team. Kind of maybe be the next Doug Baldwin of this team in the sense of getting really good value out of him, not turning into a superstar receiver, but turning into a borderline star receiver. Round 5, pick 175, Robbie Oots, fullback out of Alabama. Not going to say too much about him, but when he was on the field for Alabama, he was a really good run blocker. Getting him round 5 is kind of a throwaway pick, but he's definitely probably going to make the team just because the team doesn't have any other fullback from what I looked at. So I like this pick. I think it's going to fit in well with Clint Kubiak's new run scheme. He wants to run the ball a lot. That's what Mike Macdonald wants. That's why he fired the last offensive coordinator. I forget his name, but he had the beard and stuff. He was from Washington College. He was the offensive coordinator for Michael Penix Jr., Roma Dunze, Jalen Polk, Jalen McMillan when they went on their run and went all the way to the national championship. They sadly lost, but they did good. Um, Round 6, pick 192, Bryce Cabledew out of Kansas, guard. I hate any player on Kansas who is on the offensive line. They just sucked for the most part. They haven't had a good track record in the NFL when it comes to having draftable talent. There's not many Kansas guys in the NFL. Like Devin Neal is a guy who gets succeed, I think, for the Saints. But other than that, like recent memory, I know a guard got taken out of Kansas last year for the 49ers, but he's not very good. And I don't think Cable is going to be much better. So I think he may get cut. I don't even know if he'll make the team. Round 7, pick 223, Damian Martinez, running back out of Miami. Love this pick. Obviously, the super sack running back draft. I think he would have been picked in the 4th or 5th round in any other year's draft. Just about, you look at the guys, like, look at how many guys had, like, near 2,000 yards from scrimmage this year, or at least, like, 1,500 plus, and there's guys who didn't even get drafted who had that many yards, like Mario Anderson. So, I like this pick a lot. And yeah, like George Hulani is on the team. I think he's better than him. Kenny McIntosh is on the team. I think he's better than him. As you can see, they gave him the another Beast Mode 2.0 type of quote, but he's not gonna be Marshawn Lynch. Like that's just the truth. But he could be the third string running back behind Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. They want to run the ball a lot more this year. Chances are, if you're gonna run it a ton, one of these guys is gonna get hurt, if not both, at some point in the season, and he's gonna get reps. So I like this pick for the Seahawks, getting good value on a running back on a cheap contract in the 7th round. The last time they tried doing this, it turned out to be Chris Carson out of Oklahoma State. He was phenomenal one on the field. So love this pick for him. And then after that, like before that, is like Thomas Rawls in the 5th round or something like that. So love this pick. Think it fits them super well and gives them a lot of extra depth at running back. Round 7, pick 234, Mason Richmond, offensive tackle at Iowa. Not a big fan of him. At best, he's going to be a backup tackle. Obviously, um, they could move him into guard. Maybe they like him there, but I think it's physical, like have him above 6'5". So if you get above 6'5", it's a little harder to move into guard. But yeah, I think he can maybe make the mix, like they say. But I think this is more of a throwaway pick, 7th round pick. See how he does in OTA, see how he does in preseason. Maybe makes a practice squad. But any other way, he's probably not going to play. They have they have Cross, and then they also have Abraham Lucas, the two offensive tackles for this team. So not a big deal. And then round 7, pick 238, Ricky White, the third wide receiver out of UNLV. As you can see right there, he ran a 4.61 40-yard dash at the combine. Not very good. But then they say he suddenly got a speed coach and ran a 4.44 at his pro day. Like, come on. You're telling me this guy wasn't training for the 40-yard dash if he was going to run it the whole time leading up to the combine? That's BS. We all know it. But I do like this pick a lot. I'm a big Ricky White fan. I thought he was really good at UNLV. He had two quarterbacks who couldn't throw him the ball. He had Matthew Sluka for the first 4 games until he redshirted and said, "Hey, if you don't pay me $1 million, I'm leaving. I'm entering the transfer portal." And then they promoted Hajj Malik Williams to be quarterback, and he's probably just as bad at throwing the football as Matthew Sluka. So I like that pick a lot too because he didn't have good quarterback play. And when he did get the ball, he was good at it. And like they say right here, made Mountain West Special Teams Player of the Year, was one of them named Mountain West Special Teams Player of the Year in 2024. So even then, you could be getting a Special Teams player in the 7th round who can make the team. But I think he will crack the rotation for the receivers because I think automatically he becomes like the 6th best receiver on this team without question, and usually have 6 receivers, on the team. So overall, I love the draft for the Seahawks. Ricky White, third, my 5th favorite player on this draft class. I'm not gonna say Damian Martinez. Torrey Horton, love him too. He's my 4th. Next up, we have Leisure Arroyo at 3rd. I like that pick a lot too. I think he could turn out to be a pretty good tight end. Number 2, Grey Zabel, the guard out of North Dakota State. Like that pick a lot. I feel like it's not a really can't miss pick, especially with how bad they are at drafting offensive line over the past decade plus. And then my favorite pick, Nick Emmanwori. They're looking for their next Cam Chancellor. Jamal Adams wasn't that. Getting Nick Emmanwori, love that pick for the Seahawks, and I think he's going to end up being a really good player in this scheme, in that system. Let me know what you think of this draft, and tell me in the comments who should I do next, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.